So last night put to bed the Sabrina Ionescu greater than Caitlin Clark arguments. It's just not even it's not even close. In Sabrina's defense, she was unbelievable in the playoffs, but she was being treated like the third option. Like, we gotta call it like it is, but there's no point lying about it. She was being guarded by the other teams like she was a third option. And that's not an opinion, that's a fact. Teams were obviously worried about Stewie. Stewie's the best player on that team. Like, I think we should all be in agreement with that. The Stewie is the best player on that team. But they were treating Jonquil Jones like she was the second best player on that team. Heck, I've seen times where they were running off Sabrina to go guard Phoebich. But yesterday we saw what happens when Jackie Young is physical with Sabrina Ionescu. As well as that, like, they got the referee memo. They got the memo that the referees were going to let them maul them. But Sabrina Ionescu was guarded basically the way Caitlin Clark is being guarded all year. And she did not seem to like it. Like, she really did not seem to like that. Like, until the fourth quarter, she had 0 points. She shot the ball 7 times. She was minus 23. They lost that game by 14 points. In fairness, Stewie had the worst plus minus on the team, but she was minus 23. Like, Sloot was better than her yesterday. Sloot was better than her. I'm sorry, Sloot was better. She had 4 points. She had more turnovers than points. And I know a lot of people are like, want to talk about Caitlin Clark's turnovers. She's never had more turnovers than points. She had 5 assists, cool. Ooh, maybe she did. She had the 3-point game against the Liberty. Maybe she did. No, I think she had 3 turnovers. I think that game she only had 3 turnovers. But she had more turnovers than points. 'Tis not good. 'Tis not good at all for Sabrina Ionescu. And it was just a big-time struggle. I got to give credit where credit's due to the aces. I thought Chelsea Gray was pretty good. I thought Jackie Young was exceptional. I thought Asia was okay. She did what she needed to do. She shot the ball well enough. I thought Kelsey Plum played really well as well. Didn't start off the game too well, Kelsey Plum. In the second half, she was good. But I thought Jackie Young was the best player on the floor for either team. She was super. Did a little bit of everything. And she just hit some big shots. Like, early on in the game, based on like normally in basketball, the way I look at it is the team that shoots the more high percentage open shots wins. Like, for example, the team that shoots the most good shots wins. And that's normally how I feel about basketball. And the Liberty were shooting much better shots to start the game. And then Jackie Young was bailing them out. She was bailing them out. Tiffany Hayes, again, best bench player in the W. She had 11. And yeah, we saw 2 minutes, 43 seconds from Kate Martin at the end of that game. But the Liberty couldn't make a shot. Like, we're going to be honest, they could not make a shot. They were shooting open. They couldn't hit anything. Sabrina Ionescu only shot 2 3-pointers because Jackie Young was all over. Jackie Young was absolutely all over. And as much as Caitlin Clark has struggled a little bit with the aces whistle, with the aces mauling them, Caitlin Clark scored 18 points and a half against this team. And yes, she did shoot the ball 22 times. But, like, she just missed wide open. In the game where she had 16 points on 22 shots, if you watch that game, Caitlin Clark was getting wide open. Caitlin Clark she had one of her worst games, but she was still getting what she wanted. Like, she was just missing. And that's the thing. We saw what happened when Sabrina Ionescu is treated as the option. When they are making sure as hell that Sabrina does not score. And it looks like that, if that ends up being a blueprint to beat the Liberty, it might be. That might be a blueprint to beat the Liberty. You've got to treat Sabrina Ionescu as the number one option. And if you treat her as the number one option, you can take her out of a game. Because, like, she just struggled from start to finish. And even when they were in the game, she was terrible. She was absolutely terrible. And I will say this. If Caitlin Clark had that game, social media would be calling her a fraud. In fairness, if Caitlin Clark had the game that Chelsea Gray had, social media would be calling her a fraud too. She's the best guard in the league. By a long way. By a long way. She is the best whatever about, even if we want to say maybe 2 guards are better. I don't agree. But she's the best point guard in the league. By the gap between her, let me just think of like starting point guards in the WNBA. Skylar Diggins is the second best. So Skylar Diggins is the second best starting point guard in the W. Actually, you know what? Right now, Sabrina Ionescu is the second best starting point guard. The gap between Caitlin Clark and Sabrina Ionescu is much bigger than the gap between Sabrina Ionescu and Skylar Diggins. It's probably the same as the gap between Sabrina Ionescu and... I'm trying to look and I'm like, there's such a big drop off in point guards. And like, let's say Courtney, you know what, Courtney Williams, depending on the game, might be better. I like your Courtney Williams, your Tash Cloud type point guards. There's a big gap. Let me just say there's a big gap. Because I'm about to say, oh, is it as big as the gap between her and Julie Van Loo? It's like, maybe. But no, I'm not going to go that hard on Sabrina Ionescu. But it just was a struggle. It was a big time struggle. Like, you got to give credit to the aces who were mauling her. Like, at one stage, I don't know if it's Sabrina or Sloot, had the ball in their hands. No, Sloot, I think. Sloot had the ball in her hands. Kelsey Plum just ran up to her and shoved her. She ran up to her and shoved her. And then they called Sloot for a travel, and she's just looking so confused. It was like, she just ran up and pushed her. I'm like, at one stage, Aja Wilson tried to get a piggyback ride off Jonquel Jones. He just jumped on her back. No call. No call. It was called a travel for Jonquel, and I'm like, it's mental. It is absolutely mental. But yeah, I don't know how. I really don't know how. I hope she bounces back, and I hope that it's just a fluke off game. But she looked so uncomfortable. Sloot looked really uncomfortable as well. They looked uncomfortable with just the ability of the aces just run around shoving people. And I think that is an issue, is that the aces were literally allowed to do whatever they wanted. They were allowed to do whatever they wanted, but like the aces whistle is a thing. The aces whistle is completely a thing. And maybe there'll be a game 5 if they blow the first ever 2-0 lead. Like, they just can't. They can't do it. As the 1 seed, they cannot be the first team to ever blow a 2-0 lead. They just can't. But if there's ever a team that's going to do it, it'll be the Aces. I called this in 4. So, as of right now, I'm looking like I might, if they can win the next one, I'm right on that one. But I have a weird feeling this goes back to New York. So anyway, yeah, that is pretty much it, lads. That is the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.